By now, many will agree that AI can do quite nice high poly models, but when it comes to low poly, they call it garbage. Edge loops not right, not suitable for animation, and not even close to human made. Is that so? Well, I actually had an idea of how to test it properly, and you guys will be able to decide. I generated one high poly model in parts, assembled that in Blender, and I gave that high poly sculpt to 3 contenders. There will be a junior 3D artist, middle plus 3D artist, and AI. The rules are the same. The cap is 15k polygons. We're gonna examine each result, see how much time it took, how much it costs, and try to answer the question whether AI is actually good for retopology or not yet. But before we start, hit that like button. That really helps to promote my videos on YouTube. A little bit more details about how I did the test. So obviously I did not go myself and hire the artist because I'm pretty well known about using AI. If I would do that, like, they would do the best. I wanted to test to be objective, so I actually prepared this image. I generated 3D model with AI. I did that in Tripo. You can see how it looks. Then I also assembled that in Blender. So I asked my friend to go and find 2 artists. The idea is this: we're gonna find one budget option, the cheapest the better, and another one is professional artists that will do the proper retopology, and we're gonna ask them to record the process so we can confirm that it was done. So luckily for me, we actually found a junior artist who agreed to do retopology, but he warned he gonna use QuadRemesher. Since we asked for a fast budget result, we agree on that, and the price would be just $30. With another artist, we asked for maximum quality, and the best offer we got was $150 because we also asked it for recording. That's totally fine. I think that's quite a good price, and he said he will need at least 2 days to do that, which is also fine. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you think that's a fair comparison. My idea behind it was to become some indie game developer seeking for help. You either do the best possible way or you do the budget way, where you're just seeking help like with the model that you already created. For me, that looks aligned with reality. Now on the AI side, it's quite simple. We're gonna go to low poly leaderboard, where we can see top 3, which is like 2 of them, actually Tripo. Then we have Kunyan and Rodin. Basically only these 3 providers do AI retopology, because others seems to be just doing like smart remesh. By the end of the week, I get everything ready, so let's review how they actually addressed it. So as I said, a junior artist agreed to do that quickly, but he warned that he gonna use QuadRemesher and he will not do a lot of manual retopology, which actually makes sense. My character that I prepared is not the easiest one, and that was actually the idea, because we're gonna compare it on the distance. So from his explanation, he did mainly everything with QuadRemesher. You can see the time lapse how he did that, and also he addressed some important parts, adding some loops or making some loops better, and he also removed some areas that are covered, so like inside parts, or like the parts that are attached, which is actually appreciated. So because that's how you actually optimize thing, right? Like there's, if the part is aligned too tight to some area, you basically remove that. I intentionally created it in parts because that's pretty much like easier to work that way, especially when you work with AI. Like doing like it at once is definitely the bad idea. Comparing doing it at once would be wrong for both human and AI. That's just the wrong approach, and I wanted to provide you with the maximum grounded case. Again, by my opinion, let me know, guys, if you disagree or what I should be improving. Overall, junior artist was able to make that in only 2 hours, and again, it cost me only $30. We're gonna soon review results and compare with others. Here is the results. Quite not bad, but later we're gonna compare it all together with other options. Next up, we do have middle artists, and he went the hard way. The hard way basically means manual retopology, and he's using RetopoFlow, which is also my favorite tool. And you might wonder like why everyone using Blender, but that's pretty much because in my community and in our circles, like we have everyone like using Blender. And if you don't know, like I have background, I actually was running 3D agency for almost a decade, and Yeah, so it was way easier to find people who use Blender than, for example, Cinema. But I think, again, Retopology not depends on the software. And RetopoFlow is an amazing tool. When I was learning 3D, that was like 10 years ago, I was actually playing with the tool named Topogun. It was quite amazing, but right now for me, RetopoFlow is pretty much the same thing, but inside Blender. So I'm pretty happy. So manual retopology, especially on the character like this, can be quite long. And he requested minimum 2 days. In the end, he reported that altogether it took 11 hours of work straight. And that's quite a lot. There are all recordings, so I can confirm that indeed took him that much time. I guess like someone can do it faster, but again, like the character is not the easiest. And also he did UV unwrap later. I did not really ask for UV, but he did that and he did like it's very good. For the price, it cost me $150 and it took 11 hours. I would say that actually like a good price, because depending on the network and country, it can be actually way higher. In US, this can easily go to 300, 400, 500 for the same amount of work. I'm just experienced employer. I work in this for quite a lot, and that was sort of a bonus project, and both parties were happy with this price. And as I said, before we hired them for this work, we didn't told them like that it will go on my YouTube videos, but later, of course, we confirmed that is okay, and that's totally okay. But we decided to not reveal any names because it's still thin ice for 3D community, but I hope that's gonna change soon. For the AI option, let's start with Tripo. So what I did is that I actually uploaded the models that I generated to the Tripo and did the retopology. Well, many actually don't know that you can create your high poly models, you can do sculpting and stuff, or you can generate it, then process it and bring it back to Tripo, to Rodin, and do the retopology on top of that. And that's actually a game changer, because yes, if you only can do that low poly on AI generated model, that's not much of use. But no, actually, you can bring any 3D model here and do the retopology, do the low poly in pretty much any 3D AI, at least on this top 3 that we're gonna use. And again, Hunyuan actually can do that for free. They do have like free 20 credits per day. So I actually brought part by part all pieces here and just did the retopology. You can see the results I got, and yeah, results are not that bad, at least from first glance. We're gonna collect all of them and assemble them back. Okay, and also a huge advantage about Tripo is that you can set the poly count. So for me, it was quite easy to fit the budget. I had to do some math, like what parts, how much polygons, etc. Eventually, again, like it all perfectly fit into 50K of my budget. It's not like low poly. It's like, let's say it's a mid poly. Good character for Unreal Engine. I did the same process in Hunyuan, but as I just mentioned, only in Tripo you can really control the poly counts. Here in Hunyuan, you can upload your model, that's true, but you have to choose from low, middle, and high without actually choosing the poly counts. And that is basically a slot machine, right? Because you don't know what to expect. Sometimes it can give you quite decent expected poly count, something reasonable. Sometimes it can be too dense. I would say like they sort of work, but middle can also provide you with quite a lot of polygons depending on what 3D model you provide as an input. But anyway, through all the struggles, I did them all and then brought them back to Blender and assembled part by part. So we're gonna actually review that. So about the prices. All together, Tripo cost me less than $3. I think like $2 to $3 together with the high poly generation. So one retopology cost around 25-30 cents. For Hunyuan, it's actually free, but you're sort of limited, 20 generation per day. But also one important thing to mention is that if you access Hunyuan retopology through API, for example, through fall.ai, then you'll figure out that it actually costs more than Tripo, almost twice. I think like 70 or 80 cents for this that you do here in Studio for free. There's also no strict poly count polycount control. Very well, we have them all in one place now. So now let's judge. But first, let me start with one thing that I did not reveal. It's about the polycount cap. So middle artist, of course, met the polycounts perfectly. I would say like he actually exceeded the expectation. He did like 33K and 18K faces, basically quads, which is great because I still like quality. The junior artist actually, I think, misunderstood me. Perhaps 15K budget was not clear enough, and I should say 15K triangles, because yeah, he basically did 15K quads, which is not great, but it was already late to change the stuff. We're gonna estimate it like it is here. For Tripo, actually, I made it 15K, like, or around 15K, because there was like some cuts there and there, but yeah, that was possible to do because I know the amount of parts I have and I can do the math, right? And I can control the poly count. So here we fit the cap. And for Hunyuan, unfortunately, no, it's 150,000, because here's the thing, you cannot control the poly count, and this character seems complex for Hunyuan. Sometimes it just adds polygons even if you choose low or medium. So you can see like some parts like decent, right? But some are like extremely dense and it's basically impossible to control that. So let's actually start reviewing them from Hunyuan. I'm gonna try to show you all them at once so we can review them. So here in Hunyuan, let's take a look on the back. First of all, we can see the tail, and to be honest, like tail is not that bad, but I'm not sure like that this should be like, I mean, there's quite weird polygons here and there, and especially here on the back, this is a terrible thing. And yeah, this quite often happens with Hunyuan, like it starts to build this, I don't know, bricks. They are terrible and they break a lot. So we can see some stuff here, like extreme density in some places where it should definitely not be like that. Well, face actually is not that bad. Now moving to the Tripo. So what do we see? Definitely better in general. The shapes are more organic, more right. Not perfect 100%, let's say here. For the back of the head, quite okay. Some small things here, not good. For the tail, it sort of like does the spikes, but yeah, I don't really get like why it looks like that. Not the best result, but overall in other parts, it definitely make more sense, right? Again, and also that's thanks because I can set the poly count I want, and that will actually tell like how much details I expect. Again, if I could do that in Hunyuan, I would do that, but I can't. So it's only possible in Tripo until this very moment. So I'm definitely way happier with all that we see from the back. There are small artifacts, but in general, look not bad. Let's move to junior artists. Okay, so yeah, QuadRemesher actually did quite a good job, and you might saw the recording that he was fixing some loops. I would say it's not that bad. Well, I'm not sure like why this looked like that. Okay, this spikes good. However, yeah, there was some mess up with the density understanding, like with the poly count budget. So it is what it is. I wish it could be like less dense, but it was the budget option. And for the tail, again, I guess like even with the lower budget, I don't know. Well, actually the density is more or less same. Yeah, I don't know, like he decided not to spend time here, but this look a little bit weird for me. And finally, of course, legendary manual Retopology. So here we have everything nicely done on the head. All the spikes also seems prepared for UV, etc. Well, yeah, I don't really have comments here. It looks just nice. Interestingly, that this actually reminds me of what Hunyuan did right here, But yeah, this is actually way more accurate. Obviously, I guess like if each was done by hand, this is what we can expect. That's definitely look good, and everything look quite optimized from the back. Let's take a look on the front part. Okay, so we do have like this small detail here, and yeah, since it's impossible to control poly counts on Hunyuan, it's very dense no matter what I tried. I would say the good thing here still is probably the body. It's not that bad, but still look, sometimes it just gives some very weird connection, like it disrupts loops like this. I just don't get it, like why. Tripo has it way better in my opinion, like at least this look like loops, not that bad really. Definitely are problems. Well, I don't know, like we do this like lit loop, But yeah, so the tail we can see. Maybe if I generate tail separately, maybe that could be do that better. Well, actually that's not a bad idea. But you can see all other loops are loops, although they are not really connecting in one place. This small piece definitely look better because I could set the poly count. Overall, this look fine to me, but definitely some places not that logical. If we talk about mid poly, I think that's more or less fine. Yeah, I would definitely, I don't like this areas, like quite a broken here, right? This is definitely not okay. Okay, let's see if QuadRemesh did better work. Well, this is sort of like better work. Yeah, but again, here we see it in higher density. And still, again, like, I don't know whether he was a bit lazy or why these loops are going like that. Well, I don't know. Okay, so he was using QuadRemesh, but like, I don't know, how do you get this sort of results? But this is definitely not too good. For other pieces, yeah, like he was able to choose like reasonable density, so I cannot say anything about that. And overall, it's sort of fine, I would say, but yeah, I wish it is less dense. And here we go with the ultimate version. Okay, we can take a look on the face. This is pretty nice face. There was no goal to support mouse open. That was not set intentionally, so everything look quite good to me. Again, like it follows the high poly, so yeah, looks good. I like the loops here, very nice. Okay, and here everything look super nice. So there's pretty much, again, like no waste of polygons at all. Like it's very optimal, right? Even so, like it's just 34,000 triangles, right? Not that far from Tripo, but look cleaner. Here you can see how he did like this little piece. Okay, and yeah, of course, like the thing that he unwrapped it is actually great. And I'm actually gonna show you the process how we're gonna bake it, fine-tune texture a little bit, and what will be the end result. So guys, now you have to drop the comment and say which actually won. Well, if you ask me, my humble opinion will be that manual professional retopology of course outstands, and this quality is extreme optimization. But if we move to budget options or some tools like QuadRemesher, then I would not say that they are like that much better than AI. And in some places, I don't know, it even looks that AI does a better job understanding like the topology more logically than QuadRemesh does, because QuadRemesher do not really try to understand the shape. It's an algorithm. But I would only say that about Tripo retopology. I like Hunyon, but it's extremely unreliable in my opinion. I would say in my workflows I could try to do that, and sometimes I can get like very nice results, but sometimes Tripo is definitely way more stable. Does it mean AI replaces junior artists? Well, that is the question for you guys. I would only say that AI retopology right now can be useful, but in a smart way, not as a complete replacement, but as a tool for the very same 3D artist. Let's say that junior artist could use AI to do the base and then with RetopoFlow address some issues. I think in that way, in the same few hours, he can achieve better results. And that is exactly what I do with my team. We actively using Tripo AI for doing low poly and then adjust it by hand, improve it in RetopoFlow. But you let me know your opinion. And while you're gonna type the comment about how bad I am in estimating wireframe and that I do not understand literally nothing about it, I'm gonna show you the process, how we actually bake it, the colors in normal maps in ambient occlusion, and then there's just a little bit of magic and the final version. The cool thing is that generated with Tripo textures was so good that we decided that we're just gonna bake them onto the low poly model, and of course that low poly model created by artist was perfectly wrapping around high poly, so the baking was not an issue. I think I only had to generate eye texture eventually and set some properties on the maps additionally in Blender when I assembled that. And just like that, yeah, we do have the final version, and let me show it to you. Here we go. Here is the original high poly with original materials, and here's the low poly. Just try to find a difference, guys. I don't know, that looks so good. This is actually low poly. Like, if you don't believe me, it'll look so cool. Again, like after this retopology, baking was extremely simple. Even if you use AI to do high poly yourself and then hire someone to help with this difficult part to make it like really good, it's still so much save in time, and the result is still amazing. That was Steph as usual. Like and subscribe, and I see you in the next video.